Hey, what's up guys? And you can see by the title, yes guys, this is the final episode. The final episode of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline. I just want to thank you all for following me and continuing on this journey for so long guys. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you all. But as usual, don't be sad because this is over. New What Ifs are coming guys for you guys to enjoy. Yes, they're coming guys. So just sit back, relax, and I hope you guys enjoy. But I just want to thank you all for following me up to the final of this story. The final of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline. It's been a wonderful journey, and thank you all. And sit back and relax. And I've been looking at your guys' ideas, and don't worry. All my original ideas will be posted over on Anime King 3, and also Anime King as well. So don't worry about anything guys. I'm gonna be mixed up between Anime King 2 as well. Yes, I'm gonna be putting my own original ideas out. I've been working on quite a lot of them over the past time. Given that I'm finishing some of my old what ifs, I'm gonna be starting out with some new ones. So yeah guys, just relax. They'll be coming. So yeah, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Neglected with Josh and Seal inside him over on Anime King 3 and enjoy that guys. And also, brand new episode over Anime King of What If Naruto Was Personally Trained by Kurama. Go ahead and enjoy that guys. And yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new, well, final episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, as Naruto was facing off against Madara, the battle was chaotic. The battle was destructive, as both of them were clashing as Naruto was currently moving as fast as he could in his white noise. But Madara Rinnegan gave him an edge as he was able to keep up with Naruto, as the both of them clashed, tearing apart Mito's wasteland. Changing name from Mito, Grassland, because the place was nothing but destruction left behind now. Meanwhile, as Minato was looking back at the event, Fukaku had come up here. The man had tried to tap into nature energy, that hurt him badly, and Minato removed his chakra seal, so the man turned into a monster, and he exploded. And Minato threw him inside the house and put a barrier, as he got touched by the nature energy that was currently trying to turn him into stone. As the BLA key team came, they were here because of Naruto to make sure that Minato was okay. Minato had resigned to die. He only wished that he could see his son and Tasumi. But it seems like he would not. But amputation, that was an option. In the future there will be prosthetics, so perhaps. The man quickly latched onto that idea as that was better than any. Meanwhile, Madara stopped playing around as he entered his full form Susanoo, as he brought all of them around on darkness. As Naruto summoned the Chief Salamander and told him to give him 3 seconds, as he entered Silent Night. Silent Night was Naruto's ultimate technique, doing 6 dangerous things that pushed the human body to the limit, to a state where Naruto became a literal being of nothing but power. Madara didn't stand a chance as Naruto erased the space in front of him and reformed it behind him. He could also do it with people, any living thing. As Naruto the literal black hole in his chest, Madara got fear. He felt fear as Naruto attacked him. As he felt dread, he was fearing his demise, as he saw Naruto as a ghost, a death. The reason why they call him Ghost, Madara saw him as nothing but death incarnate, as the man was sucked away forever, trapped in that dimension inside Naruto's chest. Once it was done, Naruto collapsed. Using that technique, the doctor warned him never to use again, put a toll on his body after all. It was the reason why his face had melted off like that. As the BLAK members rushed over and Kushina as well, as Kushina was crying, as Naruto wasn't responding, his heart was not beating, there was no pulse. They would not give up though as they rushed him to the hospital, as the news went around after a while. he was currently in a state where they could not release any information. But Naruto has already made precautions as Sawaki's first wife would be taking command as the news was being patrolled all over, in the non-ally as well, and in his ally nations. People were hearing about the ghosts, as Naruto was out of commission, and they didn't know if he was gonna make it. So yeah guys, that was the last part we left off, and yeah, let's begin this final episode and get this over with guys. I hope you enjoy. Naruto had set plans in motion just in case his death. Things that will help darkness grow and evolve. And it would not stop there. His village will proceed and go forward in the future, and his efforts, they will work. At the moment, Sawaki was currently doing her duties, as she was in constant effort of talking to the BLAK members and the council members, as she was keeping her emotions in check. Despite knowing the fractal state that Naruto was in at the moment, she was doing her best, as the people respected that, as they were all at her aid to do as she asked immediately. As the broadcast was still going on, in related news, not too long after Lord Naruto has been hospitalized, shinobis of Uzu docked on the shores of darkness with Lady Uzukage to provide relief and support to those who have lost their homes. Lord Mizukage and Kira too arrived some minutes later to help a hand in cleaning up the country and restoring whatever has been destroyed. Lord Raza, the Kazakage of the Hidden Sand, and Lord Koizetora of River Country personally came with relief in the form of shinobis to help watch darkness borders just in case of a surprise invasion. Capable cooks the lesson, the need for darkness to use their own emergency rations, and builders to reconstruct the houses and roads that has been damaged in battle. As Ani gave the viewers at home a smile as she delivered more good news. Lady Amara Chingu, director of the Dark Country Central Bank, has said, with the timely and much needed assistance from darkness allies, there has been less and less need for citizens to request for emergency funds, because Uzu, Kiri, the Sand, and the River not only came with capable hands, but they also came with financial support. Lady Amara also said that anyone that still needs money, do not hesitate to come to the bank or anyone at the bank branches. And she has also informed that the economy has not taken a hit from this disaster and business will return as soon as sunrise tomorrow morning. Uzu and Kiri could not get there as soon as the battle started because the jutsus that Madara and Naruto were throwing around did not only affect Mito's wasteland, it also affected the entire world, especially the oceans, and they could not take any boat to come here. While the ocean was behaving like that, they would all die. But the four leaders came to help a hand to do what they could, and Sawaki was really appreciating the help, as Sawaki also told Rasa that she had no problem in slashing the money that the Sand owed them in half. But the man declined, the exact opposite that he did to Konoha. After all, he did not respect Konoha or anyone there, and none of the allies asked for payment in terms of their help. Lady Sawaki did not have time for her interview, but she wants you all to know that everything is under control. Remain calm, do not succumb to panic, and do not allow doubt to creep into your minds. Darkness is as strong as it's ever been, and it will only continue to grow stronger and stronger. Over 100 houses have already been rebuilt, and life is being returned back to normal. Naruto Sensei once told me that darkness is not a country that will take fate lying down. Network News would like to add our voice saying that there's no other country that is like Dark Country. As we hope for Lord Naruto great recovery, we hope we can make this country greater than it's ever been before. Those that are not in the country at the moment should not worry. The situation is perfectly under control. The people did not doubt her. They knew that was the truth. They should keep their minds focused and work and return their village back to normalcy. Wherever they were, inside of chill salt water, no matter where, they felt the steel in their heart and determination in their eyes rise. Darkness' position as a second wealth nation will not waver, even after the previous devastation. Non-allies could also watch Darkness news, at a cost of course, but they didn't have the balls to attack. History has already proved it once before. Darkness could, and it will never die. They were not certain if they gather all their allies and all their forces that they could destroy Darkness quickly, and if they failed to destroy it in one fell swoop, well, the retaliation from Darkness would drive that country, whatever it was, into extinction. Time skip. 4 years later, at the park in Dark Capital, a yellow boy hopped as he splashed in a small puddle. As he giggled at a small splash, his plastic green boots avoid the water from soaking his pants, and he also had on a blue raincoat and a yellow umbrella that fit his size. The child readied himself as he ran as he leaped, splashing down another puddle with a big smile on his face. As he looked over his Vulcan orange eyes, looking over towards his father. Dad! Dad! Look at the puddle! Look at the puddle! As he jumped into another puddle. Splash! Splash! He jumped all around. The man, with blonde hair just as his son, chuckled as the corner of his eyes turned up. That's amazing. Can you make even another bigger splash? Of course I can, he said, as he focused on another puddle in front of him. He focused hard as he jumped. Splash! He landed as he made another big splash. Dad, you see that? You see that? He asked. Well done, Benny, his father said, as his father was sitting on the bench with the umbrella over his head. As his father didn't mind the rain much, but Sawaki insisted that he go with the umbrella. As Naruto's eyes looked towards his son, a black overcoat that covered the back of his neck, water boot sneakers, and black pants underneath. The coat was strapped up. His iris were a light shade of blue than it was 4 years ago. Lighter shade. As he had on his glasses, he could still see perfectly though. His half mask was a bit altered. There was a small canister on the side of the mask. It kinda looked like the ones that the shinobis were wearing 4 years ago when they searched for him through that fog. But it was more sophisticated, pushing air through his lungs and nose, and take out carbon dioxide, as it did not contain normal air. It had air from the highest point of the continent, and Naruto was also using gut breathing. It was one of the side effects of not dying. As strange as that sounded, yes it was. He couldn't breathe normally. Because of his technique, he could no longer breathe with the normal air that human brains were working off of. He needed a high altitude air that were on high mountains, far mountains. The other side effect was his glasses. It was a different shade of glasses after all. His eyesight had deteriorated. Seeing that his eyes were mostly white now, but he could still see perfectly with the glasses. Without them, he was blind as a bat. Kushina and Sawaki insist that he always have at least 4 pair of glasses sealed on him at all times just in case. They always questioned him on his glasses before he left anywhere, despite he could use his senses to see around no matter what. But they did all of this because they love him, and they didn't want anything to happen to him. And Naruto loved them, and he made sure to tell them that every single day. He could be alive because of the Rinnegan power running through his body, or it was just a freak surprise. But he chose not to question it. His yellow hair had a few streaks running through it. Gray streaks. Humor said that it was a side effect of stress after the battle. Naruto applauded his son as his son jumped into other puddles, keeping an eye on Benimaru. The children's park wasn't that populated because of the light shower, but Naruto felt like spending a rainy day with his son. 3 years later, when he had regained consciousness, he handed over the leadership towards Sawaki, making Sawaki the second leader of darkness. He was encouraged to do so, surprised by Sawaki herself and Kushina. The council said it was for the best as well. After all, darkness was in the most better place than it was back in the past. Because of him, all of his efforts, everything that he did, and the trust that he placed in Sawaki to make the people see that. And they wanted their lord. They want him to have a peaceful life, to not stress himself over certain matters that they could handle. After all, he did so much. He put his life on the line for them, and they will not forget that, never. The people, his allies, all of them told him that it was time for him to rest. Yes, he's done enough for all of them. He's done enough. So at the moment, the 44-year-old man was enjoying retirement, as there was a lot to do. Dates with his wives, going to visit his friends, looking after his son, bringing him to school, picking him up, having these wonderful days with him. He chuckled to himself. He was also getting into brunch. Wonderful when you have company. And Naruto enjoyed walking around, talking to his people, learning more about their life. He appreciated life more than he ever had, now that he was retired. Sawaki had called 5 minutes ago, said that she was putting the last few touches on the paperwork before she come over to the park. Kushina too for that matter, and neither of them was late. When it comes to coming over and having a nice talk with their husband and watching over their son, it was a peaceful, wonderful feeling just being there together. Sawaki was pregnant, oddly, at the same time as Kushina, who was expecting another baby. His wives were 2 months in. He had to tell them to take it easy most times, as Kushina had half a month left until she got laid off for her paid maternity leave. And Sawaki was pushing more of the focus towards the council, seeing that she'll be doing the same thing as well. A ultrasound told them that Sawaki was expecting twins, as she was so happy. She was delightful at it, as Naruto loved his life. Both of his wives were just shining and glowing. His ears twitched as he turned his head to the right, as he saw a man approaching him, holding up a yellow-haired girl that was about the same age as Benimaru. The Kazekage wore a dark red rain poncho, blue pants and boot. He carried the child in his arm, who wore matching smaller clothes, and his other arm was an umbrella. The girl here was fashioned for pigtails. She had green eyes that glow. As she saw him over the bench, "Rasa, how's it going?" said Naruto. "Different thing every day," said Rasa as he sat down, placing the girl in his lap. "So, how is this?" said Naruto. As the girl took his finger. "I'm Temari. I'm 4, she said. "Oh, so you're the famous Temari that your father keep on telling me about." Rasa rolled his eyes at that, as Naruto poked the little girl as she giggled. "My name is Naruto, and I'm your godfather." "I know that," she said. "Daddy said I should call you uncle." As Naruto chuckled with his eyes closed, facing his friend. "You got a smart kid, Rasa," he said. "Thank you," he said, as he waved Naruto's son, and the boy waved back with a big grin on his face. "I'm sorry, Akiko couldn't be here. She said that she's not feeling well, so she stayed back in the hotel." "I don't mind. I'm glad that she's not pushing herself too hard," said Naruto. Rasa's wife was pregnant for their second child, and they wanted Naruto to be the godfather again, similar to how Rasa was Benimaru's godfather. This was the first time Naruto was meeting Temari in person as he turned, as he grabbed his son who rushed towards him, as he placed him on his lap. "Benny, this is Temari," said Naruto as he folded Benny umbrella. He already had his large umbrella over his head. "Hi," he said quietly, a bit withdrawn from meeting kid his own age. As Naruto ruffled his hair, "He's just shy," he said. Temari looked up towards Naruto. "Daddy said I couldn't come see you because you were sick." "Temari," said Rasa, "that's rude." Naruto patted Rasa's shoulder. "It's fine, old friend. I wasn't sick. I was injured," he said. "Injured? Who injured you?" she asked. Benimaru was busy playing Naruto's large hand, comparing his smaller hand to Naruto's. "I injured myself fighting a rather bad man," said Naruto. "Did you win?" she asked. As Naruto smiled, "I like to think I won." "Is that why your eyes are weird?" she asked. "Temari," said Rasa. As Naruto laughed, "Come on, Rasa, she's only a child. If she didn't act about it, then I'll be worried." "Daddy eyes are cool," said Benimaru, defending his father's honor. "Your eyes are weird too," she said, as she laughed at Benimaru's eyes. "My eyes are cool." "My father said so," said Benimaru. "Temari, that was out of line," said Rasa. "You have to apologize." But why? Would you like if Benimaru made fun of your eyes?" "No," she said. Then she turned. "I'm sorry," she said. "And what do you say back?" said Naruto. "I'm sorry I shouted at you," said Benimaru. "Why don't you two go and find a pile of worms? They have to be around here somewhere," said Naruto, as he placed his son down. As Rasa unsealed a small umbrella for Temari, as both of them made their way over. "Make sure you don't eat them, okay?" said Rasa. "Okay, Daddy," said Temari, as Temari dragged Benimaru away. Now that they were gone, the man started talk once again. "I hope the rain's not making Akiko feel unwell," said Naruto. "I came with my family yesterday and she was feeling alright when we were packing. It might be the rain that is dampening her mood, but don't worry about that. It's not the first time she's experiencing this weather." "What did you come to do?" Naruto asked. "I came to speak with Sawaki to extend the responsibility of the Dark Sand Task Force to protect the pocket of gas that we discovered underwater and also guard the Iron One minefield along the coast. The workers are getting concerned. The Wind Daimyo is making trouble. He said that you purposely buy that land, knowing that there is gas in the ocean, and neglected to tell him about it." Naruto rolled his eyes and sat back on the bench. Him and Rasa had agreed to buy that small part of Wind Country. Some of Rasa ninjas had scouted the water and found the gas underwater. The Wind Daimyo had no idea about it, and that place was, well, not owned, because it was a warning place for flash flooding. Sometime it just flood over, wanted the added resource. From that place, Rasa convinced Darkness to use her influence and money to convince Wind Daimyo to sell that place. Darkness bought that land for 1 billion Ryu and handed it towards the Sand, and the Sand split the ownership and the resources to them. They began operations to get the gas a long time ago, and only a month ago did the Wind Daimyo found out. He's a spineless idiot. The contract is lethal and binding. I wasn't under any obligation to tell him why I'm buying the land, and he has no question there. He never asked. He was most interested in the money. As he asked, "How is Sawaki handling the issue?" he looked towards Rasa. "It's not an issue really. Your country is stronger than Wind military, And they know they can't twist my arms to do anything because our alliance is too tightly knit together. The Sun was much better now they had paid back all the loan that they had borrowed from Darkness. And also, they could regularly pay for using Darkness Ryu in their country. The desert oasis was developed, and it was a 5-star oasis where people could go relax and enjoy themselves. Well, if you need my advice, forget about the daimyo and focus on more important matters, said Naruto. I spoke with one of your clan head, said Raza after nodded. Lady Umar, clan head, and she is thinking about pitching the idea to Sawaki of the Darkness Air Force. Yes, she told me the same thing. She has been funding it for years now, and she said that the engineer in her department has a blueprints for something called a skyjet. It's a very big dream to the Kazakage. The San might have the money, but we still need some time before we get there. Over the 4 years, Darkness had become on top of everything. Darkness was #1 in the wealth nations, the most richest, the most influential, the most developed, the most powerful throughout everything. Doton was pissed off when his nation was being pushed back, seeing that he was #1 on the wealth nation, but the other nations realized that Darkness had far surpassed him, and he had to stand down. And Darkness pushed past even that, and they were now seen as the greatest in the village as well, pushing Kumo to 2nd, and the Sun was at the 3rd, Kiri the 4th, and the Stone the 5th, and Konoha was dead last at #6. Though this was unofficial, the sheer magnitude of Darkness' wealth unsettled those that weren't allied to Darkness, mainly Kumo, the Stone, and Konoha. They had attempted to gang up together and strong-hand Sawaki to break down Darkness' power and money, reducing the power and influence that the country had. They threatened to whittle down the Hermit Nation by barring their allies to ever enter the country unless she lists to their command. It was the first time in history those 3 countries are on the same page, just because they want to get back at Darkness. They had done this in tuning exams that were hosted in Konoha, as every nations were being able to participate now. But Sawaki returned back with fire, as none of them couldn't do anything about it. After all, blocking the 3 villages, if they try to block the other nations, that will also make their nations tougher as well. As she looked towards Oniki and told him that she had mercy upon his village and allowed trade to go through his land. She had no problem taking away that mercy to make the Hidden Stone suffer. The Raikage bartered Oniki to not submit, but he had to, as he knew his position. Sawaki told Tsunade that she didn't even see Konoha as any sort of threat. All it took for A to sit back down was for Sawaki to mention the neutrality of peace that was between his father that Naruto had. But Naruto didn't have any respect for him, and Sawaki neither, so he better sit down. And he did, right after that. After all, despite their big talks, they were afraid to start anything with Darkness. As Naruto had watched all of that snickering, Darkness was that powerful, as Darkness was the one to win that exam as well. Your wife is really something, Naruto, said Raza, as he laughed. She had them by the balls. Yeah. So is an amazing woman, said Naruto. What about me, said Kushina, as she came on the other side of the bench and sat down. Oh, Nana, said Naruto. You know you're my wonderful lady too. As she kissed him on the cheek as she nestled into his side, watching her son play with Temari. Sawaki arrived a few minutes later as Raza was about to go down the bench, seeing that he was sitting on Naruto's other side, but Sawaki shook her head as she sat in Naruto's lap, tucking his arm around her. As Raza simply chuckled, she was a different person around Naruto completely. You're a lucky man, Naruto, he confessed, shamelessly. As Naruto simply smiled, yes, he was a lucky man. A lucky happy man. Time skip, Naruto lived to the age of 129. He lived long enough to see his children, his great-grandchildren, and his great-great-grandchildren. He lived to see Kushina became the 3rd leader of Darkness after Sawaki stepped down, saying as an immortal vampire she could live and hold on to power for the rest of eternity, but she wanted the transition to pass on. He lived to see his first son Benimaru succeed his mother and became the 4th leader of Darkness. He lived to see his second daughter, first son Hakimaru, become 5th leader. They had their way of seeing who will become the next leader, and that was the one to be accepted by Night Terror, the blade that became half sentient. After all, it approved Naruto, it was Naruto's blade. Those who could wield the blade was said to be the ones to be chosen to become the next leader. After all, not everyone could touch it or wield it. As Naruto lived to see many things, technology filling the streets, and the people never lost their way. The younger generation succeeding the older ones, that pass on because of some mental complications or just pass on because of old age. He saw the major villages start to try some uprising, but they were squashed down rather easily as they didn't have the power to back it up. He was there to bestow his blessing on those that succeed their parents to become clan heads and become members of the council. He was there to see his descendants spread over the world, making a name for themselves, always coming back at least twice a year to see their old, aging gramps. At the moment he was lying on his deathbed, as his people waited for him to speak, Conan was there with Kisame. The man had lost the use of his legs, but was still able to have 2 children with the paper angel, who were both in a large room now. Minato and Tezumo were in there as well. Darkness had reached a level of safety where they could open their entrance to allow non-allies nation into their country. Though the process was strict, as Minato and Tezume had gotten an entrance in Kushina's time, where they had a southern home in Darkness, where they enjoyed their time with their children and grandchildren there. Carrot and Onion were there, as Carrot was trying to find a special someone as she was going to mixers, dance, everywhere. Onion, on the other hand, was just moving from a different boyfriend all along, over and over, as Naruto tried to get him to find someone to settle down with, but he would not, as he said that love was not something meant for him, it seems. He rather this life, well, whatever makes him happy. Raza's children and grandchildren are all there. Gaara, the immediate former Kazekage, stood by the bed with Kankuro and Temari. Kankuro married a Kumo Kunoichi named Karui, and Gaara, much to Naruto's amusement, married his student, yes, someone that he took under his wing, just like Naruto and Temari, got married to a Konoha shinobi. His name was Aburame Shino, even though Shino could not be there because of some sickness. Their children were there though. An elderly Sawaki sat on the edge of the bed. She kept her vow. She was going to pass on with her husband, as she was going to pass a week after. Kushina too was on Naruto's other side holding his hand. As Naruto smiled, looking at all the people, all of his descendants, his children, his smile was happy, peaceful. Live free. Live happy, he said, his raspy voice coming out. Kushina, second born, was there. As she placed a hand on her mother's shoulder, she had longevity, like her mother, so she looked quite youthful despite her old age. As Kushina was freely crying it out. Sawaki was being strong as she watched her husband last moments. The wording possibly is just a suggestion. Don't be sad please, he says. He saw a look on your face. This moment here is what I've always dreamed of, everyone together. I am so happy, he said. He died on the first day of the 12th month. They had a national funeral for the great man that united them all. The measure of a man is not how much he's revered when he's alive, but how much he's measured, even in death. That was written on his tombstone. He might be gone now, but Naruto will never be forgotten. Never. And yeah guys, this is where this comes to an end. I really hope you guys enjoy. And I just want to say thank you all once again. I hope you guys enjoyed the story. And don't be worried because as I said, new stories are coming out soon for you guys to enjoy. So sit back, relax, and yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy. And I'm all for now guys. See you guys soon. Peace.